Mr. Barry Litucci.
Thank you. Thank you, Radmila. Our delegation will be issuing a press release later today. I apologize for not having that at this time. I would like to thank the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Ministry of Information and also the people of Yugoslavia for their generous assistance and cooperation in helping us to carry out our investigation here in Yugoslavia. During the past 2 weeks, our delegation has traveled across Serbia to investigate evidence of NATO war crimes. We have visited Novi Sad, Pančevo, Niš, Aleksinac, Kragujevac, Grdelica, Ćuprija, Srdelica, Rakovica, and other parts of Belgrade, as well as numerous other smaller towns and villages. There is no question that we have done our job. We have found extensive evidence of NATO war crimes. Schools, hospitals, bridges, roads, residential neighborhoods, as well as the industry itself. In Zemun and other locations in Belgrade, we have seen and documented with videotape the deliberate destruction of electrical transformers at the power station there with graphite bombs and cruise missiles. This one example of the deliberate destruction of electrical transformers threatens the survival of more than 2 million people in and around Belgrade due to the loss of heating in the winter. In Pančevo, Novi Sad, and Kragujevac, we have seen the wanton destruction of petrochemical ammonia plants and chemical substances such as pyralion, which have poured into the water, soil, and air of Yugoslavia. There is no question that this was a deliberate act of ecological destruction by NATO. It has contaminated several 100,000 gallons of water in these 3 cities alone, as well as endangered the health of tens of millions of people across the Balkans. The result is a potential environmental and health catastrophe due to the spillage of dioxins, heavy metals, and other carcinogenic substances that could affect the population of this region for several generations to come. Along with that, we have seen sites of destruction where traces of depleted uranium have been found. Most recently, in our trip to the Zastava factory in Kragujevac, the deliberate use of depleted uranium weapons against civilian targets such as these is irrefutable evidence of crimes against humanity and crimes of genocide against the whole population of Yugoslavia. In Belgrade, Aleksinac, and Niš, we have seen hospitals and clinics that were directly targeted by cluster bombs. This, too, is a violation of international conventions on war and a clear war crime. On the use of illegal weapons, we have collected an enormous amount of first-hand video documentation, as well as first-hand testimonies on the use of cluster bombs, phosphorus bombs, and cruise missiles. In the city of Niš, which experienced the worst destruction in Yugoslavia after Kosovo, we have seen many examples and documented them of the targeting of civilian areas, such as the central marketplace, the residential area surrounding it, the nearby bus station, and so on. On the street of Aneta Andrejević alone and adjoining streets, 15 civilians were killed and many others wounded due to attacks with cluster bombs. For our delegation, this was a shocking and horrendous example of repeated attacks and of atrocities against the Yugoslav population. This was the most memorable, but there were many other locations where we documented similar attacks. By studying and documenting the use of cluster bombs, we have learned a great deal about their use. On the highway from Belgrade to Niš, we observed and filmed the true nature of cluster bomb attacks. There we found, in a completely isolated stretch of road with no civilian structures nearby, the distinctive scattered markings of a cluster bomb attack. What was especially interesting about this one cluster bomb attack was the fact that it showed that cluster bombs are not designed to destroy structures at all. There were no buildings, and the highway itself was not seriously damaged. The use of this bomb was purely for the purpose of killing civilians. This is one of the most telling examples for us of the real terrorism of the NATO aggression and of the anonymous and premeditated effort to destroy the civilian population of Yugoslavia. In several other locations, we saw examples of cluster bombs that, again, were designed purely for the murdering of civilians and not for the destruction of any particular structure. Now, on the other hand, at Kragujevac, at the Zastava factory, we have witnessed and filmed the use of satellite-guided bombs designed to destroy not people, but civilian structures. This contrasting evidence actually complements each other. What it signifies is how the use of different types of weaponry on different types of targets is a confirmation of a larger overall plan of deliberate economic, civilian, and ecological destruction. What we observe or discover from this by putting together the different pieces of these different attacks is a war not aimed at any particular military target, but at an entire nation, actually a war of genocide. In yet another example, we filmed evidence in Niš of the use of phosphorus bombs on industrial infrastructure, and we observed that this was a deliberate effort. Phosphorus, yeah. This is another piece to the puzzle of crimes of genocide, the deliberate destruction of the economic capacity of the country. On this point of the industrial capacity, I think we should also add that we observed particular types of industry that were targeted. In particular, we saw the targeting, or one of the striking conclusions that we drew was the particular targeting of state enterprises and of cooperative enterprises. This is clearly an effort by the war planners to destroy socialized property in Yugoslavia. We also observed, we concluded based on testimonies of individuals that it was the opinion of many individuals in southern Serbia that particular towns were hit primarily as political targets. In other words, to destroy the political leadership most determined to preserve socialized property in Yugoslavia. Furthermore, we have also conducted dozens of interviews with civilians who either survived or witnessed attacks on residential areas. And we have also conducted interviews with members of the Serbian, Roma, Egyptian, and even Albanian communities of Kosovo who were forced to flee as refugees from Kosovo. These testimonies, along with our additional first-hand evidence, will be presented to Ramsey Clark in New York and will provide an abundance of proof for the overall strategy of the United States and NATO to destroy Yugoslavia, as well as to ethnically cleanse Kosovo of all non-Albanian and non-KLA Albanians as part of the strategy for creating a greater Albania to dominate the Balkans militarily, economically, and politically. On a personal note, I was myself moved and inspired by the people of Yugoslavia during our interviews with refugees and civilian victims, by the great energy of the people and the widespread determination of the Yugoslav people to overcome these acts of genocide. Our human rights tasks primarily focused on collecting evidence of these NATO war crimes. In the end, we believe that it will help in collecting the necessary evidence to achieve some sort of justice for the victims in the future. We believe, as I mentioned before, that the crimes of genocide committed during World War II are at the very heart of the destruction of Yugoslavia today. Kragujevac is known to historians as the scene of a great atrocity during World War II. We must be sure that the atrocity committed in Kragujevac in 1999 is added next to the first atrocity in the history books. And it is not surprising that the monument to the first atrocity at Kragujevac was destroyed by NATO.
Excuse me?
It's not surprising that the memorial to the victims at Kragujevac in World War II was destroyed by NATO. We will do everything in our power when we return to educate the public, to fight for reparations for Yugoslavia, and to make sure that we do better this time than we did after Jasenovac in gaining justice for the victims of Western aggression against the peoples of Yugoslavia. I would like to allow some other members of our delegation to say a few words about their investigation and their findings. Perhaps I'll first introduce Mr. Ken Freeland from Texas.
And I'm speaking as a peace activist. I don't have expertise outside of that, but my opportunity to be here, to witness what I've witnessed, has given me the opportunity also to get a feel for the Serb and the Yugoslav culture and society. Often at the end of interviews with people that we've talked with, we've asked them, what would you have us do? And half comically they respond, leave us alone. I wish I could convey to you the extent to which those of us in the American peace movement feel the same way. This is our heartfelt desire that America would leave people alone in the rest of the world. Everywhere we go, we've been treated with openness, candor, hospitality, and people forthcoming with evidence, testimony, and documentation in an incredible way. I'd like to challenge my fellow countrymen to stand on the streets of Niš to witness the effects of the carpet bombing on residential areas, to stand beneath the twisted wreckage of the Zastava auto plant in Niš, in Dragujevac, and not say that they are not standing on the scene of the crime of the century. The sanctions are the other issue that are a real concern to me, because I've realized that even though they do a lot of damage economically and in so many other ways to the people of Yugoslavia, that the worst damage they've done is to sanction the truth from the American people. The people of Yugoslavia are to be congratulated for their incredible resilience. We must return to the hostile territory of the existing American government and our obsequious, mendacious mainstream press to fight the uphill battle to relate the truth of what we have discovered here to our fellow citizens. Thank you.
I would like to also introduce at this time Mr. Gregory Illich, who is an independent journalist from Ohio.
We have seen a pattern of deliberate destruction of Yugoslavia as an industrial economy and terror bombing of the population. NATO has imposed an occupation of Bosnia-Herzegovina, Macedonia, Albania, and now Kosovo region. NATO bases have been built in Bulgaria and Croatia. The West is colonizing the region as it seeks to impose its control over the labor and resources of the Balkans. As one Yugoslav worker told us, you were bombed because you refused to be slaves. Your independence is something you can be proud of. NATO is a gangster organization which operates in violation of international law. Our investigation for the Ramsey-Clark Commission is only part of a larger effort to change Western public opinion and foreign policy and bring about a return to international law. In my case, I will be giving all of my documentation to the Ramsey-Clark's War Crimes Tribunal. I'll also be posting information on Ramsey-Clark's International Action Center website. I will write and attempt to publish articles on what we've seen, and I'll be giving slide presentations and speeches throughout the region of the U.S. where I live. All of us are deeply impressed with what we've seen of Yugoslavia, its culture, and its people, and we are determined to continue our struggle to change this barbaric policy.